Welcome to Strength Chat Podcast, presented by Kabuki Strength. Introducing your hosts, Chris Duffin, the mad scientist of strength, Rudy Cadlove, mature athlete and coach, and the wizard of training himself, Brandon Sen.
Welcome to Strength Chat with your host. That's right, coming at you, the mad scientist of strength himself, myself, Chris Duffin. To my left, the man of many faces, the wizard of training, Mr. Brandon Sen.
I do like that I get bumped up the order when Rudy's not here. Normally he introduces Rudy next.
Yeah.
Observe your place.
Yes,
in the
that's
hierarchy.
right. The place for the man with no voice.
Saving the best for last.
What? Can you say that again? I couldn't hear you.
Weird. Onward.
Mr. Brady Cable.
We had a guy message the virtual coaching Instagram complaining about Brady's voice and how it would be so much better if he talked differently. I'm like, I don't think he can help that.
Yeah, there is only so much I can do. I'll just take it up a couple octaves next time we shoot a video.
I personally like it. It's very soothing.
The man with no voice is actually Darrington, though, because he doesn't speak.
That's true.
That's true.
That's true.
Well, this came about because we had several podcasts where basically Brady wasn't allowed to say anything because every time he'd go to speak, Rudy would start speaking. And then we get done with the podcast, and Rudy would turn to him like, "What's going on? You got to speak up. You got." And I'm like, he was trying, Rudy. Like,
It's just a power move by Rudy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he cut me off probably 10 times in a single podcast a few times.
So, yes, we've got another person chiming in. That would be
Another person chiming in.
Yes, well, our listeners don't know who that was speaking.
Okay.
Because we haven't introduced him.
That's true.
That's right. Maybe we should just go the whole show without introducing
Or we
him.
could play like a facts game where we just give them facts about them and they have to guess who it is by the end.
Okay, the man that skips some of his major accessory work.
No, all of it.
All of it.
Starting off on a rough note.
I tried to get him for a year to do split squats. Boom, tears his adductor.
I've done split squats. Done them. They're awful. I can't even. I don't like them.
I remember specifically, like, I get back from New York because I was training with. I'm still not introing him yet, but that's okay. I was training with this individual that keeps piping up over here, and Brandon says, he says that I was the reason, so we did a training session together, that he didn't do his accessory work that day. And I'm like, really? Because I'm sitting there, I'm like, I remember that workout, and he comes up to me, and he's like, you know what, I don't think I'm going to do my bent over rows today, and walks away. And I'm like, somehow that got, it's my fault.
It was your fault. You enabled me. 'Cause you should have been like, do them now.
Was there whiskey involved?
I was drunk.
There was whiskey involved.
That whole whiskey and lifting thing is good for like one movement, not a whole workout.
Well, like one top set.
Right, yeah.
Not for back off work.
Yeah, you definitely have to like not engage in much. You got to really temper the amount, right?
Yeah.
Brady tried to do that on his
absolutely.
birthday and almost fell over walking a squat.
Yeah, Chris just handed me a bottle of whiskey and was like, have fun deadlifting. Finished deadlift's fine. Squats didn't go well afterwards, though.
He goes, Brandon, spot me.
Spot me, I might just fall over.
Like, okay.
Yeah, that was when I had, I think, a plate on the bar at that time.
Are you going to introduce our friend?
I am. So today we have co-owner, co-founder of Mount Vernon Barbell in, Mount Vernon, but, it's easier to describe as New York City for those of our listeners that aren't familiar with all the suburbs or smaller towns around it. Chris is he's an athlete of Mr. Brandon Sen here. He's a pretty competitive power lifter in his own right, but Chris has started out Mount Vernon Barbell not too many years ago, and it has become really like an iconic, one of the iconic facilities in the powerlifting world. There's been a number of tremendous athletes that are currently training there or have trained out of there. Most notably, me. I did one session there, but
You can give some credit there.
Trained out of there once, got all the members drunk, and left.
But so we wanted to have Chris on the show and talk about basically, we have so many people like starting up, facilities around the U.S. or small training facilities, and Chris has been very successful at building a noted brand and a really successful facility in a short period of time, and basically doing it as a part-time job because he works full-time as an iron worker, building all those wonderful buildings and stuff in New York City. So welcome to the show, Chris.
Thank you for having me. This is actually my first podcast, so I'm a little nervous. I'm also trying not to curse because I can do that a lot. Just to touch on Mount Vernon Barbell, it's like it actually kind of like blew my mind. Like it kind of like really exceeded expectations of like where it would end up within 3 years. Like I don't think I ever expected it to be something that 2 years down the line we ended up going into a spot double the size in that short amount of time. Because usually like gyms don't even get off the ground in that amount of time. So I mean, granted, a lot of that is like we kind of brought something different to the area, something that hasn't been done before. Like we were able to kind of like put all strength sports under one roof and actually provide all of the best equipment. But like we also got lucky in the fact that we did have guys like Larry Wheels and Kevin Oak coming in and consistently training there and really kind of helped push that movement along so that people kind of saw where we were and we got noticed and people wanted to come train. And when they came train, they just kind of stayed because we kind of had everything, that you needed.
Was that the goal from the jump, was to have this big gym, or were you just trying to start a gym as a hobby and blew up from there?
So, I think like 14-year-old me, every like little meathead that walks into the gym, their dream is to own a gym. And I know that was mine when I was young, and it just kind of like so happened that, I was training in one gym. I had gotten kicked out of there for deadlifting. I went to a new gym, and that's kind of where I met my partner. And well, my partners, it's no longer 3, but it's 2 now. But, and we met, and like, it just kind of like everything kind of fell into place. But at the time when we were first thinking of opening up a gym, it was supposed to be something like very small, just strength based, like really just niche, very much powerlifting, nothing really else more than that. And then the gym we were training at was going out of business, and they offered us like it was a powerhouse. It was a powerhouse in Yonkers, and they offered us the equipment for really, really cheap. And it was just kind of like, oh, well, this is like too good of a deal to pass up. So we bought all of this equipment, and we didn't even have a place to put it. We didn't have anything rented. We had no lease anywhere. We hadn't even found a spot there. We were still looking for listings. And this was around Thanksgiving time in 2015. And so it went from being like, okay, like we're going to open up a small powerlifting gym where we're going to like lease some equipment to, okay, now we have about 7,000 square feet of machines. Now what do we do? And within a month, we found the first location that we ended up going in. And the landlord was like a really cool guy. He really helped us out. And it just kind of turned into what it was, when we opened. And we opened literally probably a month and a half later from buying the equipment from that old gym. And it was January 16th, 2016 that we opened the first place. And it kind of just like, when we first got in there, like we still didn't even have most of the equipment that we had ordered. Like we just had like basically whatever we bought, and we were still waiting on Rogue and Westside Barbell and whatever else was out there to ship all their stuff. So like we opened like bare bones, and like we're just kind of lucky that with the gym that had closed, a lot of their members came over because it was what they knew. So we kind of already had a base there, and we weren't trying to like build upon, taking members and, like trying to really like advertise, because we kind of just already kind of had a shoe-in with the people that were in the old place.
So Chris, I'm gonna interrupt because
I'm rambling.
No, because I know you, and you don't give yourself a lot of credit, as per some previous discussions that we have, and it's all like, I was lucky, this happened, fell into my hands. You know, really, what I see is a story of somebody that had a longer term vision, and they knew what they wanted, but also was able to take the risk when an opportunity came up, when you didn't know what the full rest of the plan was. Who goes out and buys 7,000 square feet of equipment with no place to put it and then builds a successful gym out of it? I got lucky, my ass. Like, this is, you do it because you wanted the risk and you knew what you wanted long term. And so you've got to give yourself some credit there. I mean, it's like Kabuki Strength started. I built the first squat rack myself in 2003 for my garage, and at the time I was like, this is the first squat rack of what someday is going to be an epic training center that's going to rival some of the best in the U.S. No, this was just a squat rack. It doesn't even. We don't even have it anymore.
I don't think so.
It was a hand welded squat rack. And you know, it's the same thing there. That's the story and the message of that startup. So just rephrasing exactly what you said with giving yourself a little bit of credit in the process. So
yeah, I'm definitely tough on myself. I mean, I've also a lot of it is who you know. Like, my partner is a great guy who's definitely handled a lot of things that I may not have been able to do on my own. So I'm definitely very grateful there. You know, it's weird. I had made a post about this like the other day, and it was about like social media just in general. And I think social media is a great tool, but I said that I was very fortunate, like when I was younger, when I was 20, so like 8 years ago, which is, obviously not that long ago, but social media wasn't what it was. There wasn't such a like pressure to like be popular on it or whatever it is. And because of that, like I was able to kind of like really just kind of focus on like going to work. And like I had no idea like what was going on. Like, I just went to work every day, like either freezing my ass off or sweating my balls off on these towers in New York City and building buildings. And that's kind of what gave me the opportunity to open Mount Vernon Barbell, because I had the money to do so. But I think a lot of people get like really caught up in that end game. And it's like, if you just love something and you just kind of like grind at it all the time, like even without like knowing you're doing it, it kind of just like falls into place. And I think people get like too caught up in like the when, the where, and the how, like when it's going to happen. It's like, just go to work. Like, just like, you know what I mean? Like, stop getting so caught up in like all this other stuff. And like, there's more to life than like 100,000 followers on Instagram, or, you know what I mean? Like, there's got to be something you love. Like, do that. Like, put all your time into that, Or
just I can't do that because it's beneath me. I've got this big vision, and this is what I want to be, and so I can't. But the thing is, you've got to put in, there's the point of just putting in the time, right? And we talk about this on a number of different levels, but that's exactly what you did, and it put you in that position, right?
Yeah, like I don't think like as a kid I had no idea that like what I was doing as an iron worker was going to set me up for success later in life, but it just so happened that it did. But like I also worked really hard, you know what I mean? Like, so like I was able to do that, and it's people got to remember, like, you got to work too, like nothing just like kind of falls into your lap, it's like there's a lot that goes into it. And even when you're not realizing like what's going on, if you're just kind of working towards it, it'll fall into place. Like I always had this thing, like I always told people like one day I'm going to own my own gym. Like I was just kind of something I always said. And like, I think if you like just believe it enough, like eventually it kind of like happens in a sense.
So tell us what does, for our listeners that aren't familiar with Mount Vernon Barbell, what does that look like today? How many square feet? What kind of strength sports do you support? What does the facility look like? How do you manage it? Because again, I know that you're still working full time, in that as an iron worker.
Yeah. So now Mount Vernon Barbell is 18,000 square feet. It was
And that's 18,000 square feet in the New York area, which is like a substantial amount of space.
Yeah, and like there's that phrase, like if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. Like it's true, because New York is not cheap at all. Like we've spoke about like square footage and like how much you pay versus how much we pay, and it's like it's astronomical. And luckily we've had the client base to support it. But so now it's 18,000 square feet. It was originally in the old place 7,000 in terms of just gym floor, but 11,000 altogether. So we basically more than doubled the size of our gym floor. We've got 2 monoliths, an ER rack, 4 squat racks, 7 deadlift platforms, 6 competition benches, every specialty bar or machine you could ever think of, pretty much. Dumbbells up to 200, cardio area, cable machines, hammer strength machines. We've got 75 feet of turf and rubber walkway for strongman events. We've got stones up to 400 with a stone loading platform from, I think, 46 to 60, or I don't know. I forget the measurements, but there's like whatever they use in strongman, farmer's handles, all that kind of stuff, yokes, Husafels, circus dumbbells. And we just recently opened an MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, boxing, wrestling studio within the gym. It's about 2,000 square feet or so. But, we just finished manning it, and it's up and running, and we've got some great guys. Again, it's one of those things where, like, another MMA gym in the area was kind of having falling out, and we were kind of able to get their trainers in here who had a following, and it's just taking off again. But like, there's nowhere around that has put together what we have under one roof. There's just either one place has this or that, or maybe a combo of the two, but like we put it all in like one roof. And like, like I don't ever want to move that gym. I want that gym to be kind of like the flagship gym. I think like my next goal is like, I'd really like to open up another one or franchise, franchise it, open up a new one, open up a new location, and just kind of go from there and see what happens.
Because you guys just moved into a new location, yeah?
Yeah, like we moved in late, was it late April?
That sounds right.
Yeah, it was late April, and it was a 35-hour move within 48 hours.
I remember that.
It was brutal.
Yeah,
it was fun.
None of the stuff you're moving is light.
Either. It was fun. Yeah. We're dreading a big gym reorganization coming soon here. Can't imagine moving your facility.
Adderall, a lot. That is the key.
Yeah, moving our gym's doing nothing. We're just moving stuff around.
Yeah. Yeah. But like it took a while after that move for like me and my partner to get like reacclimated, because like we were just like, I don't want to touch anything. I don't want to fix anything. Like I think I just fixed like my first cable today. Like he's been doing all the other stuff, and I was just, like, anytime I see anything broken, I'm just like, I didn't see it.
Well, that's definitely got to be one of that's also a unique thing with your facility, is that you have a very big member base, which is there aren't many, if any, powerlifting or strength focused gyms that have that. Maybe Iron Sport might be one of them that comes to mind. Lord Elliott's gym might be another one. We talked to him. He's got quite a few members. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, I can't, and that's across the whole United States. I can't think of any other facilities that have 700 plus members. What are some of the unique struggles with that outside of keeping up with equipment failures?
Well, that's a big one. So like, that's another one for anybody that's trying to start a business, especially a gym business. Like, set some extra money aside, because you're going to need it. I think when we first opened in the first location, I think every friggin' cable in that gym snapped within a month.
That's crazy.
And like we had to like, it was like, oh wow, that's weird. None of these cables ever snapped in Powerhouse, and now they all just want to break. And like we went out and we bought a welder and this and that so that I could personally fix equipment. That's one of the biggest struggles is, things get broken. A lot of people leave things around. It's like stuff gets left on the turf and stuff gets left here and there, and people will break things and leave it. The maintenance of the bathrooms, and now we have showers, so that's another thing. Like it's always cleaning, and then otherwise people are pretty good in there. We've got a lot of guys in there that'll kind of like police the place on their own, which is great. But I mean, it's inevitable. You always get some people that just kind of don't have that etiquette, but like, dumbbell handles break and this and that breaks. I'm sure you guys know how it goes, but like you're always fixing something. It's 7 days a week. Like people think owning a business is this like glorious thing, like where you're going to, sit back, relax, take vacations. Like I work 7 days a week, and I work after I go to the gym. Like I work after I go to work as an iron worker, whether I'm swinging a beater all day at pins, driving pins, and then I go train, and then I'm still working there. Like sometimes I don't get home till 10:30 at night. Like it's a 24/7 job. Like you never know when something's going to break, when a pipe's going to burst. Like we've had leaks and this and that. And it's hard, but like it's gratifying, like at the same time, like if it's really what you want, it's probably one of the most gratifying things, especially when you see it grow, especially when you see it become successful. Like you can go on Instagram and like you look at any kind of hashtag that has anything to do with fitness, and you're going to see those green walls. They're all over the place. Right now you're seeing some yellow ones behind Larry's, but trust me, if he wasn't living in Jersey City, he'd still be in Mount Vernon. You know what I mean? It's just the way it goes. Like, there's really nowhere around that has what we have, but it's it's tough. 800. We're closing in on 800 members, and it's a lot. You got to stay on top of inventory of drinks, making sure their stuff like cardio machines break down. The maintenance is probably the hardest thing for sure.
Yeah, I tell you what, I do get a kick out of the security cam footage you send me every once in a while. It's definitely brightens up my day anytime.
You should release a best of video for extra profit. It'd be hilarious.
That'd be I really use it so I can yell at people like when they're doing stuff wrong. I'm like, hey, they'll be like, because it's funny, like people will lie to your face. You know what I mean? Like I'll be like, you didn't put this away, and they're like, yeah, I did. I'm like, no, you didn't. Like, you want me? Like, you really want me to show you? Because I know you didn't. Like, just put it away. Like it was so hard about it. Like you left 4 plates on a deadlift bar on the platform. Like just take it off.
Or 9 plates.
One of those that keeps happening in our gym every day.
Nobody's allowed to touch those bars or those plates. So what difference does it make? I don't understand.
I touch them.
No, you don't.
You're
not allowed to.
Well, I do.
You're fired.
I do because I'm not allowed to.
But I do love the it seems minor, but the branding of just the wall color. Like you've got this unique wall color, right? So everybody puts up big logos and this other stuff in their gym, but unless somebody's filming from the right angle to capture it or that, where like that color, there's no other color scheme like it out there. You see a video on your screen pop up, and oh, that's Mount Vernon Barbell. Like. So it's a unique thing because everybody always does like I said, that big logo approach, and and half the time you never see it. So
that was a mistake.
but it worked out good.
Yeah, it worked out for the benefit. Like in the old place, like everything was green. And like you would like sometimes I would walk in there and I would just get a headache. I was like, oh my God. So much green. So when we went into the new place, I was like, we can't lose the green because like it's our thing. Mm-hmm. But I was like, let's just do half walls. Better. And it's working out that it's still recognizable, which is nice.
What do you? So you got the new facility. You've been around for a little over 3 years now. What's the future plans for Mount Vernon in the new space? Is it just to continue to grow membership? What do you guys want to do with it?
Yeah, I mean, it's really just grow as much as possible. Like, you know, like we're really trying. Like, one of the reasons we left the old place was because we were out of space to do anything else. Like, we could only be member based, and you know, like you couldn't hold a seminar in there. You couldn't, you know, like we held a powerlifting meet in there once. That was the worst thing ever. But like we had nothing else to do in there. We were limited. So like the point of going into this new place was that like it was the envisionment of being able to open up that MMA gym. And honestly, within, you know, we may be actually knocking down some walls and expanding our square footage within 6 months because the MMA is really taking off, and they kind of already need more space. And you know, realistically, the goal is to grow it, and for me, it's so that I can stop working. I don't want to work, you know, doing manual labor for the rest of my life. You know, I'd like to be able to do 1,000 hours a year and get my pension credit, and then, you know, focus on something else. You know, so that's really the goal. But yeah, we're just always trying to grow. Like it's always about bringing more people in, and it does get hard. You know, like I don't think we. I mean, because it's really just me. My partner doesn't handle any of like the social media stuff. So like, you know, we could probably promote better. But you know, it's like I'm not there, so I don't always have like footage or pictures to like put up. You know, so that gets a little difficult.
If you guys are already maxing out your space, I mean, how much promotion
yeah, it's
do you
just
really
grow.
need to do?
So speaking of seminars, though, I understand that you have like an incredible set of teachers coming out there later September. Some specific dates teaching. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So there's some like really weird hipster guys out in Oregon.
Hey, thank you for pronouncing it correctly.
Yeah, I mean, Kabuki Strength is coming out in September, the 21st to the 23rd.
Exciting.
I'm personally really excited about it, just because, like, you know, I like hanging out with you guys. But I think it's a great opportunity for anybody around the area to get a chance to like learn something from, like, you know, you guys like reinvented like the coaching game in the industry. Like, you guys do it better than anybody else, and you know, I know your seminar it's 3 days. What is it? 8 hours a day, right?
It's 8 hours, 2 days, 3 hours, 1 day.
Okay, so but
So like
yeah, I mean
19
it's more than you get anywhere else. It's actually informational. You know, you'd be doing like a discredit to yourself if you're like serious about, you know, learning, you know, to not go to it. To be honest, like I've never met anybody that's going to one of your seminars that was like, man, I wish I had that money back.
Yeah, I haven't heard that yet either.
No, not heard that. Not heard that. So, and this I think goes. So, anybody that actually wants to attend one of our seminars and see the iconic facility like Mount Vernon, or spend some time in New York, this is a great opportunity as well. So, obviously, we'd encourage anybody in the greater New York area to come on over. Yeah, absolutely. We're pumped to be out there and be teaching in your facility, and I'm really glad that you've got the new location that allows that, because we were in discussions before, and it's just like, may not be a good fit. And with the new location, like really pumped to be out there and put on a really great piece for the audience. So
That's actually going to be a really busy trip, because aren't you going up early too?
yeah, I'm going up early to work with some of the professional sports teams in the New York area, and then you guys are doing.
We're staying a day late. Plus, I'll probably tack on a few days to hang out with my East Coast buddies. But
boy.
My boy. We're
So you can get
tacking on
some
a
coffee.
we're tacking on a day to go out to Barbend and shoot some training stuff for them on Monday, and then hopefully we'll take up. At least I will. Sarah will probably tag along too. Take up Tuesday, Wednesday, and just chill out or something.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll be bringing along my lady as well.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
This should be fun. I mean, the seminar that we've got right now, where we change it every time, but the current one has really been in development for 3 years, as far as its inception and the way it's changed over time. And we feel like it's a really solid reflection of what we do as a company. We are breaking it up into like more of a level-based one next year, but a lot of that's going to be additions of programming and some other unique things related to coaching. But yeah, we're pretty excited for it.
Yep.
Oh, in the wrong
everybody I talk to, I'm like, like I always recommend you guys, like, it's just, there's, if you have the money to do it, it's like, it's money well spent,
In the realm of our coaching services and education stuff, Chris, you're one of our clients. You're coached by Brandon, compete at a high level in powerlifting. How do you find balance doing your ironworking job with that? I'm always interested in people that work hard manual labor and can balance hard training on top of that.
I don't have balance.
The candle at both ends.
That is honestly, like, that is kind of definitely what I've been doing. And, I think it catches up to you. It's caught up to me in a sense. It's go. It's always just go. Like, I think I recently, like, I was talking to Brandon, it was like I was doing, you're working 10 hours a day. I'm getting home 5:30, 6 o'clock, and it's like, all right, clean yourself up, get in the shower, go train. And then, if you're lucky, you get out of the gym by like 9 o'clock. And for me, if there's anything else I have to take care of in the gym, like I do that. And then sometimes it's not until 10:30, 11. So like the balance it's rough, man. Like, but I've never really had a lot of balance anyway. Like, I've always kind of put my priorities first, like I've missed a lot of birthdays, a lot of family gatherings, a lot of just things I should have been there to, like that I should have been there for. And I've missed them because I'm going to die one day, so like, I want to do what I want to do. Like, I just want to, these are the things I enjoy. I like my job. Like, it's a prideful job. Like, I got to work on the World Trade Center, like after those buildings got knocked down, and I've worked on the Manhattan Bridge. I've worked on the Henry Hudson Bridge. I've worked on buildings all over New York City and Westchester. And it's really cool because at any given point, like, I can walk around the city or I can walk around, down here, and I can be like, I helped build that, like, it's an awesome job, and I love it, and I love what I do, and I think you have to be super qualified to do it because it's like I've seen guys get really hurt doing it, like I know guys that have died doing it. So it's like, but yeah, it's like, and I love that, and I love training, and I love that gym. It's my baby, I've put a lot of money into it, and it's always what I've wanted to do. So it's like, yeah, it's burning the balance is very rarely there. If I get to go out, I'm lucky. I try to make as much time, but it's a lot of work.
I think it's cool that you describe that as something that you're proud of. You hear all these rah-rah motivational people these days saying, like, you got to go do what you love, only do what you love, all that type of stuff. But I don't think there's any single thing that you can do where you're going to like 100% of it. Mm-hmm. There's no, like, job that every facet of it is great. But you can always be proud of what you're doing. And you can be proud to contribute to what you're contributing to, even if you don't love every aspect of it.
You hit the nail on the head, dude. Like, so there's plenty of times I'm at work and I'm like, fuck, this sucks. Like, no matter what it is, like, sometimes it just sucks. Sometimes you're doing crappy work. But, like, at the end of the day, it's like, you look at the finished project, and like, I'm just finishing up building a building up in Valhalla for Pepsi, and it's like, you kind of look back at it and you're like, wow, like, I helped build that. So even though it sucks sometimes, like, look, owning a gym sucks sometimes, but if you're proud of it, that's awesome. Like, I don't have any regrets, doing.
You can find those parallels in powerlifting. Like, not every training session is super fun and awesome, but when you hit that PR on the platform, like, all that work and that suffering in that sense was worth it, right?
Absolutely. Like, it was. So just to, like, give an example, that 840 squat I had hit at the Arnold, I think it was last year. you know, at the time it ranked me 10th all time in the world, you know, ever for the squat. And, you know, everything leading up to it, like there were some trainings that sucked, but like that made it all worth it. I think Brandon remembers how excited I was when that happened. That was after missing a second attempt, and he was just like, "Trust your reps," and I was like, "Okay, Brandon." I trusted him, and like it came up, and like, you know, like probably one of the best feelings of my life was hitting that squat, and like, you know, since then I haven't, you know, competing has kind of not gone my way, but you know, there's been more to life other than that in the interim, which has been good. And I know, like, I haven't done my last meet ever, so like I will get back on that platform. I've been unfortunate that I've suffered a couple of injuries recently, and it prevented me from competing at Boss of Bosses this year, which I'm definitely super bummed about because I really wanted to do that meet. But Dan did say after speaking to him that, you know, I was definitely welcome back next year. So I think like that's kind of the plan going forward, is to focus on getting back there next year and being healthy. And I think I've got some things that I need to work on in terms of my training and just, you know, like fixing some movements, fixing how tight I am in certain areas. And you know, I think it's just the silver lining there is that next year will be even better than this year would have been.
Mm-hmm. Well, even all that aside, you've made some killer progress, especially in your deadlift most recently, and you know, you've hit some really, you got some meaty hands there. You've hit some really great sleeve squats too in the past training cycle. So
yeah, fired me up.
Sometimes
me and Chris can commiserate about hands, meaty hands.
Yeah.
Maybe it's that welding. Maybe it's all that shop work I do. I don't know.
Absolutely, yeah, it's got to be. You know, it's funny. I look at a guy like Joe Sullivan who's got probably hands smaller than us.
I know. Yep.
And I'm just like, I hate you, man. Like, strong, but like
you're taking our excuse away.
Yeah, like, come on, dude.
You're breaking the code.
This kid's deadlifting like in the 700s for deficits, like off like 4-inch deficits, and I'm like, oh my god, like,
he's kind of just defying the rules in every regard at this point.
Yeah, Joe's an incredible athlete for sure.
Yeah,
which makes sense because you know you guys coach him.
Aw, thanks.
Oh shucks.
Aw. Well, we're all too. You know, being as you know, you're a very accomplished lifter, accomplished in your career, and now as a gym owner, I think the majority of our listeners are going to relate to you with your powerlifting accomplishments, but also your wanting to do things in the fitness industry as a gym owner. What advice do you have for someone looking to start a gym? You know, what are some things that you should have done differently when you first started opening, and what do they have to look forward to?
I would say have a plan for sure. Take your time. Like, there's no rush for anything. Like, you don't have to have it. Like, I'm sure you guys have some young guys out there listening, and it's like, it doesn't need to happen tomorrow. Like, it's baby steps. It's an everyday grind. Like, just one day at a time, you know, like, what would I have done differently? Like, at this point, like, I can't say. I think the only thing I would have done differently was not have my third partner that we had.
Maybe not done differently.
That's my advice to anybody. Like, make sure who you're going into business with. Make sure you get along with them. That you like your ideas are on the same wavelength. That you're not going to butt heads. That they're a good like. Make sure they're a solid person, you know, because I've seen firsthand like friendships get destroyed, and it sucks, and the stress that comes with it is shitty too. So just like make sure if you're gonna go into business with somebody, like make sure it's somebody you trust, somebody that you get along with. You know, I would, you know, I don't want to say don't go into business with your friends because like my partner has become one of my best friends, but you know, definitely that's probably my biggest thing is definitely make sure. And if you're doing it alone, you know, make sure you have the money to do it. Make sure, you know, everything needs to, you need to know what's going on. So like, you need to know how much money is needed to pay the rent and how many members that's going to take. And, you know, what can you charge and what's the market like in the area? What's the demographic? You know, like, what are you offering? What's going to set you apart? What's going to make you unique? Like, these are all things that, like, you know, so, I mean, the gyms pop up all the time, you know, and
they disappear all the time.
Yeah. Like, it's easy to get lost. I mean, especially around here, like New York has all these gyms that are very cheap, you know, so you have the Planet Fitnesses, the New York Sports Clubs, like the whatever it is. And you get people that come to us and they're like, whoa, like $45 for a month, like that's expensive. And you're like, you want to like grab them by the face, like in that in the Adam Sandler movie, and just like shake them. You're like,
Billy Madison, is that what that movie is?
Yeah.
I think.
And it's just like, dude, like, are you not like looking into the gym and seeing what you're getting here? Like, we don't have dumbbells to 60, dum-dum. Like you can do anything you want here, you know? But you got to set yourself apart. Like, you got to be something different. You got to be able to just, you got to stand out. Like, that's with anything. Like, if you want to be around, you got to stand out.
Yeah, it sounds like you would have done it completely differently, considering you bought all of your equipment without a gym to put it in.
Yeah. That's probably one of the craziest things I would say don't do that. You know, but like the stars aligned for me. So like that was dumb luck. And
but you also talked about spending years working and you saved up a bunch of money. I feel like there's a lot of people that'll go and they're like, oh, I want to start a gym, and they'll finance their life away and have zero plan going into it and not be actually ready to put in the work, and they don't know what that looks like before they even do it.
Yes. So that's another thing. We were able to not, like, we don't have any loans. Like, the only loans we have are equipment loans, and they're not that much. Like, I didn't take a loan out from the bank to get the money to open this place. Like, I took a loan out from my own money, like through my annuity. Like, that's how I did it. So like, I pay my money back to myself with interest.
Yeah.
Which is like, I'm just lucky because I'm in the union and like, that's an option for me. But like, yeah. So if you're listening, like, get a union job in New York City to be set. And, you know, yeah, like, definitely, like, it's dangerous. You know, the interest rates, like, it all gets dangerous when you start borrowing money. So like, the less money you have to borrow, the better. Always. Like, it's imperative that you don't have to borrow that much money. But at the same time, I'm not going to tell anybody not to, because if you really believe that like what you've got is something that's going to like change the game, like, go all in on yourself. Like, why not? Like, you're just, you know, like, but like, make sure it's like, it's there, you know, like, don't be naive either, you know?
Yeah, don't just do it because you and your buddies were talking one night and you decided, hey, maybe we could start a gym.
Yeah,
don't you mean that's not a business plan?
No. Yeah, you can't open a gym just because you like lifting. There's got to be a little more substance behind it.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's great advice. I think it's definitely something that listeners will definitely take to heart. But even then, there's a lot of other potentials there too. You know, outside of just having membership, you know, you could potentially offer coaching services and this and that. And you know, if you are opening a gym, you don't have to open the gigantic Mount Vernon style gym, and probably shouldn't right away. But you know, there's tons of stories about, you know, people starting in a storage closet like Joe DeFranco, or starting in a garage like Duffin and
Kabuki Strength.
did.
Yeah, well,
there's not too many places that start massive and stay massive.
Well, like I said, that was definitely an accident, you know, on our part. It was just kind of something that happened. But yeah, like, your place doesn't have to be, you know, thousands of square feet to start. Like, you can, if it's like something like you want a business, like, there's little studios around here that like specialize in coaching, like personal training, and they're doing fine. You know, like, if that's something you want to do, like, by all means, like, if it's going to make you happy, like, do it. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be a member-based huge gym. Like, you can do like the private studio thing, and like, you know, like, if that makes you happy, like, go for it, you know?
Totally. Well, I think you guys had anything else you want to talk to Chris about?
No, I think we're about running out of time.
No. Just as choice in curtains and wall drapings, but we'll leave that. We'll leave that to the audience's imagination. So it's probably better that way. Just
I live alone, man, and
don't. Hey, Chris, don't change it because you're not focused on the right thing. If you're doing it, you got a lot on your plate, and don't fuck with that shit. So, I just like teasing you.
Yeah.
We're all pretty excited to be in New York here at the end of the month. I'm super excited to get there. So,
yep,
we'll see you guys.
Yeah, I definitely got some cool places I'd like to show you guys.
Yeah,
when you come down here,
we definitely want the locals tour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely.
Well, other than that, if people want to join Mount Vernon, or they want to know more about you, or they want to get access to the facility, how do they go about doing that?
So you can find Mount Vernon Barbell on Instagram at mountVernonBarbell.com. You can go to our website, www.mountVernonBarbell.com. We're on Facebook. If you care about me, my Instagram is cm_K40. But yeah, I mean, if you're in the area and you need a place to train, come on out, see what we're all about and give us a shot. I'm sure you'll like it.
Sweet. All right. Sounds good.
That was a cool plug.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll see you soon.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, guys.
All right.
See you, Chris.
All right.